which is formerly the Huron League football blog, but we've added 6 new teams this year. I'm here with my partner Gary Hoff, a 1989 St. Mary Catholic Central graduate. Welcome, Gary.
Thank you.
And we've expanded the blog this year. We've included 6 new teams to go with the Huron League teams we have. We're bringing on Gibraltar Carlson, Temperance Bedford, Erie Mason, Dundee, Ida High School, and Monroe High. Gary, you've been a reader of the blog for a while. Tell us why we decided to go this route, bringing the 6 new teams on board.
I think the blog just kind of grew a life of its own. Started in 2009. I went back and looked at some of the viewership back then. We're about 40 views, 50 views. And up until about last year, 2015-16, there's been thousands and thousands. So I think it was just time to expand, time to grow. I think the people will like it, the people will enjoy it, fans will enjoy it, and I think it was just the right thing to do, the right time to do it.
Perfect. And I think with some of the player profiles that we've done already on the blog, our Monroe High player profiles have been through the roof, probably our best profiles. So it's nice to have those teams on board, including Monroe High, which has a great football tradition. Real quick, we wanted to let everyone know that the only reason we can do something like this is because of our sponsors. We have a handful of them, all thanks to Gary here. So, Gary, you want to tell us a little bit about our sponsors?
Yeah, our main sponsor this year is going to be Gerwick Nissan. John Gerwick was kind enough to sponsor and advertise on our blog, so go check out Gerwick Nissan for all your automobile needs. He's going to do a lot with us. We're going to be hopefully taking cars out to the ball games. We're going to be trying some different things with him. So you're going to be seeing Gerwick Nissan plaster all over our videos and our website, and he's a big part of what we're going to be doing. Larson's Bar and Grill, they were with us last year. They're going to continue with us. Don Bazinski's cooking up the best burgers in town. 5-10 years running now, voted by Monroe. Coldest beer in town too as well. I can attest to that. So go check out Larson's. And Vince's Little Vinny's Drive-In, changed the name out there in Point-a-Po. He's with us this year. So we appreciate all of our sponsors. That's Gerwick Nissan, Larson's Bar and Grill, and Little Vince's Drive-In in Point-a-Po, Newport.
Perfect. Thanks, Gary. Yeah, thanks again to our sponsors for being out there and helping us. Well, as we expanded the blog, one of the big things that we had this season is we have 6 brand new coaches coming to our coverage area, all the way from Carlson over to Ida. And first on that list of new coaches would be Jack Jarmo at Gibraltar Carlson. Gary, you're from SMCC. You probably know a little bit about Jack. What can you tell us about Jack Jarmo going to Carlson?
Yeah, well, that's just a home run hire of home run hires, if you ask me. I can't imagine them being any happier over at Carlson. Last time we seen Jack, or Coach Jarmo, he was on the sidelines at Ford Field winning a state title. Racked up over 150 wins at SMCC. Just had some real great years, and he's going to bring the T over to Carlson. It's going to be interesting what they're going to do in that Downriver League. I think the Downriver League's in for a real awakening over there. I'm excited to see him on the sidelines again.
I agree, and there's some solid football teams and programs in the Downriver League and some good coaches. Jarmo was just inducted to the Michigan High School Football Coaches Association Hall of Fame, so that tells you what his peers think about him. Another new coach we have is down at Carlton Airport, and that is 2001 graduate Jim Duffy is taking over after being an assistant down at SMCC for years. Tell us a little bit about what you know about Jim, and I'll chime in.
As we've stated on the blog a few times, they're going under the radar this year. We're not going to get a lot from Airport this year. They've got some things to straighten out. I think they got the right man in charge, Coach Duffy. He was an assistant at CC, so he's going to try to instill those methods and practices over at Airport.
Well, and Jim's obviously a Carlton guy, and he was a great athlete while he was there at Airport. They have talent at Airport. What they need to do is channel and focus that in the proper direction. And I think Jim will do a good job. It might be a learning curve there as you jump into a head coach, but I think he'll do a nice job. Next, we have New Boston Huron went out of state and hired a gentleman by the name of Tim Spees, who a lot of people have starting to hear a little bit about. I know a little bit about Tim just because of my background. Tim has been an assistant at a lot of different places. He has been a head coach at other places, and good things happen wherever he's at. He's a defensive guy, but where he's been, they've done nothing but won. His last head coaching stop was a few years back at Genoa in Ohio, I believe, and he went 21-2 in his 2 years there, and both losses were in the playoffs. So, you want to add anything to that, Gary?
Well, I just talking to the folks in Huron and just kind of getting a general feel in New Boston. They're very excited for this football season and the football seasons to come. Things are definitely trending up at Huron, believe it or not. And once you would never hear or think of New Boston Huron football is trending up, but they're definitely trending up. And my challenge for the league this year, we'll see.
All right, next we have is down at Monroe Jefferson. We've got Gene Janot, who's been an assistant with the program. Gary's spoken with him a little bit.
Yeah, he was an assistant at Jefferson. They're going to run the T this year. I think there's 3 teams in the league that this year that's going to run the T. SMCC, of course, Riverview, and Jefferson. So that's kind of interesting. So we'll see what they have. A lot of team speed, from what I'm understanding. When we get out to the practices, we'll know more. We'll relay that to you guys, of course. But it's going to be interesting at Jefferson. Had a nice year last year. They're going to try to follow it up with another one this year.
Yeah, I think they have some nice talent down there. I mean, they lost 2 stud players. But, one of the big things with football is depth, and it looks like they have some depth down there at Jefferson. Next is we've got Erie Mason has a new coach, once again with some SMCC roots, and that is Rob Beaudry.
Yeah, I played with Rob back in the 80s. Very excitable player, and he's an excitable coach. I'm very excited to have him at Mason. He's going to do great things as far as I'm concerned down there. Has some talent. Mason has won 11 games in the last 10 years, I want to say. I think he's going to change that. Mason, I believe is going to be trending up, and we'll see what he can get going. But he's definitely going to bring enthusiasm down there.
And he is a head coach who has some experience, and I think that's important. He was down at Summit Academy for a few years, and was able to do some decent things with them before moving on. So look for better things from Erie Mason and Coach Beaudry.
Absolutely.
And then last we have down at Ida, and that would be Jeff Potter, who is replacing kind of a legend down there, I would say, and he's had 4 really, really good years over the last 4 or 5 years. So,
well, Ida installed the T, Full House T, and they just took off. They set scoring records and whatnot. Had some long playoff runs over the last 2 or 3 years. Question is Coach Potter going to continue that? We don't know. Again, we'll know a few things as the weeks go on here, but Ida's a good football town, good football tradition. I expect they're just going to continue doing what they're doing.
Great. So that's our new coaches, and that's pretty exciting. It's nice to see some really solid coaches with some winning and tradition under their belts, and then you got the new guys who've earned that opportunity. And every coach was a first-year coach at one time or another. So
we cover 14 teams, and 6 of them have new coaches. So that's quite a bit, almost half. So that's interesting.
It ought to be an interesting year.
Absolutely.
One segment we wanted to hop into was some players to watch over the course of the season. One that comes to mind, I saw him play last year, and I saw him a little bit on 7-on-7 this year, is Dundee's Ben Miller. Gary, I don't know how much you know about him.
I haven't seen much about him. I haven't seen him at all, really. But I know he's quite an athlete.
He's a very athletic, 6'3", about 205 pound fullback. He'll also play some outside linebacker for them. He will be one of the better players in the LCAA. From what I can tell, and people I'm talking to and coaches I've talked to, he's probably a Division II football player, which should give a nice solid foundation for Dundee over there. Next we have Nick Walsh and Cam Rogers from Riverview. Walsh was hurt all last year. That was one of those big injuries that really hurt the Pirates a little bit. He had started for them as a sophomore and was a linebacker. He's a guy, if he could stay healthy, he's a difference maker for Riverview, and I fully expect them to bounce back from their 2-7 season.
Absolutely. Yeah, they have some players at Riverview. Those two you see those two getting off the bus, you're worried. They look like football players.
And I've heard some things from some outside people, and I think you've heard the same thing about Cam Rogers. He could possibly be the best offensive player in the Huron League.
Absolutely.
And those are coming from some pretty credible sources. So he's a good player to look out for. Another player who's kind of new to the Huron League would be down at Huron, and that is Coach Tim Speece's son, Brennan Speece, who will be a junior. He was a very, very good defensive back for Swanton High School last year. The thing about him, and the thing I've heard and some of the things I've seen in 7-on-7, is he is a burner. And he's not a little guy either. He's 6'2", 185, 190 pounds, kid who's low 11s in the 100 meters. So he's a pretty fast and athletic kid. I don't know, Gary, have you seen any tape on him at all? Or
a little bit, yeah. He's a player. His older brother's a player too. Probably going to be at quarterback. One of the benefits for Huron, they brought in an excellent coach, and with that coach came two excellent players, and Brennan's one of them. So.
Next we have over at Airport, and I know Gary had mentioned earlier that they're kind of in the submarine, but Michael Four is a good player over there at Airport. He's going to be a senior, fast kid, kind of thick and strong. He will play running back for them. I'm assuming he's going to play some linebacker for them. Very, very good player. I think he's someone you're going to have to watch out for. He will be one of the better players in the Huron League.
Yeah, he's a tough kid. Like Chris said, he's strong, got some quickness to him. So yeah, look out for Four.
Okay, jumping over to one of our newer schools, Carlson. I don't mean to disrespect anyone in any way, but I think Jarmo had talent at SMCC, but one thing he had over there was they had discipline, they had tradition, they had hardworking kids, names you recognize from other, Catholic Central families over the years. He's getting a different type of athlete over at Gibraltar Carlson, and two of those are Jalen Franklin, who will probably be his quarterback, and I heard he's going to play a safety of some sort. And then the other one is Ian Stewart, who's a sophomore, who's getting rave reviews from everyone. I believe he was at the barbecue at U of M this past weekend, but he's got numerous Division I offers. Franklin has committed to the University of Wisconsin. Gary?
Yeah, he's going to play tight end from what I hear at Wisconsin. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Carlson has some players, and we know Coach Jarmo is a heck of a coach, so when you combine those two things, the sky's the limit over at Carlson, and those two players there are going to be leading the way.
Yeah, Carlson's going to be fun to watch, and I plan on getting out and seeing them in week 2 over at, I think they'll be at Trenton that weekend when I go see them play. St. Mary Catholic Central, Colin Wolford. I had him as an all-league defensive back last year for the Falcons. I thought he was one of the best defensive players in the Huron League. Gary?
Yeah, Colin, somewhat small in stature, but makes up for it in toughness and physicality. Maybe the strongest kid on the team, and he might only weigh 165, 170 pounds. Word is he's going to be at safety, maybe at corner, but he can really bring the wood from the safety position. If you remember back at SMCC, Michael Pannone, I expect him to play that sort of a safety, coming up and supporting the run. Moved to fullback this year is the word I'm getting as well, which is interesting. He's a tough runner on the offensive side. At halfback, word is they might move him to fullback, so we'll see what they do there.
And he's a typical SMCC football player, right? I mean, he's a name you've heard. That's a last name you've heard. Tough, hard-nosed kid who's going to work hard. I think Pannone is a perfect person to compare him to. A lot like him. Moving over to Milan, we've got offensive tackle and defensive lineman Mike Furtney, who's committed to the University of Wisconsin. I mean, the Badgers coming in and stealing some players.
Talking some here on league folks.
Out of Michigan, and then also sophomore Tristan Hines, who's very, very high on a lot of recruiting websites as a sophomore defensive back. Word on the street is he's going to play a little bit of everything on offense. I assume he's going to play quarterback because he's that type of athlete. Gary?
Furtney and Hines may be the two best athlete football players in the Huron League this year. I mean, they're two very, very talented players. Hines is only going to be a sophomore. Don't let that fool you. He's a burner. He's got ball skills, excellent defensive back. You know, teams aren't just not going to throw in his area. He's that kind of a player.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I saw him play 3 times last year, and easily one of the best players I saw last year in the Huron League. And then one more player we want to talk about. You know, Grosse Ile had massive graduations. They had a great season last year under Coach John Bodner. But they lost some players, but one of the players they have back is skill guy Jack McGrath. Not sure where he will play offensively. I'm assuming he's going to carry the ball quite a bit in their spread offense. He's a player who's been out on the 7-on-7 circuit. You know, he'll play some defensive back or linebacker. He's a guy who I think will be a really, really good player for the Red Devils this year.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to be counted on a lot. They did lose a lot in graduation. We've always thought Coach Bodner is one of the best coaches in the league.
Absolutely.
And he's gonna earn his money this year. We're gonna see what they have at Grosse Ile. Some word is they have a lot of underclassmen, lost a lot to graduation, so we'll see. McGrath will be definitely one to be counting on.
So that's our players to watch. Real quick, we're going to wrap this up. This is kind of our pilot show. Some of the things that you can expect from Friday Night Victors this year. You're going to see the same coverage. We're still going to have previews of all the games going on. We will have the scoreboard updated as much as possible during the course of the night, so you can check out the scores wherever you're at. Friday night's always a big night, over 5,000 viewers, depending. And so we're going to have that. We will have the pre-games and our predictions. So of course, it's going to be a little bit different because Gary and I will both be picking those. We'll try and do some stars of the weeks. We'll have the Friday Night Victors, thoughts and questions. And then we are going to do this show once, if not twice a week. I know we want to do a wrap-up. After week 1, we want to kind of do a wrap-up. We're not sure when that's going to actually air because we do have to record it. We're not going to stream it live or anything. But we'll probably air that, on maybe Mondays, and then we will come back with a preview of the following week, probably on Tuesday or Wednesday, that would come out, talk about some of the things that have happened. And I'm excited to have Gary on board. I think it's going to be an exciting year. And once again, this all started in 2009. It was really a way for me to just, fight my boredom, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But it really is all about the student athletes and the kids and, getting football out there, because high school football is about as pure a sport as you can get.
Absolutely. And we're very excited to add the new schools as well. We talked a little bit about that. But, welcome to all the fans and that are maybe seeing us for the first time, seeing the blog for the first time, the website, FridayNightVictors.com. So welcome to all the new folks and new teams. Monroe, Bedford, Mason, Ida, Dundee,
Monroe High.
And Monroe High. So, a lot of things to talk about with those schools. We're kind of holding back right now for our preview and things like that, but we just wanted to get a show out there, get some things out to the fans of the blog, and we're ready to go. Like I said, I got my hair cut, I got shaved my beard off, and I'm ready to go for a season. It's going to be a great season.
Yeah, and real quick, if you would like to contribute at all, especially on scores, it's nice to we can't be everywhere, and it's nice to get scores. I get people texting me scores all the time, but if you want to supply scores to us on Friday night, please reach out to us via email. You can find that on the site. If you're interested in advertising on the blog or being a part of this, we'd love to have you. Once again, we would like to thank our major sponsors of Gerwick Nissan, Larson's Bar and Grill. I have had the burgers; they're fabulous, and the beer is cold. And then Little Vinny's Drive-In over there, and I guess that would be Newport.
Newport, Pontypool, yeah. Jeff Harrington, go see Jeff Harrington in Newport, Pontypool Road.
Very good. So that's our first show. I hope you liked it, and you'll see us in the very near future.